Hi everyone, today is Wednesday, February 9th, 2011, and just wanted to update. My last video was a little bit on the depressing side. So I went in today for a pregnancy test as a result of having the IVF. So I'm just waiting to hear back from my doctor's office. I probably will find out for sure what the results are either tomorrow or by Friday. I'm a little bit concerned because I've had some back pain and some bleeding, so I don't think it looks very good, but I had sort of the weekend to let everything sit in, and I guess where I'm at right now is if it doesn't work, I'm probably going to need a few days to pull it together, but you know, we talked about it, my husband and I, and we decided that if it doesn't work, we're going to give it one more shot. And I might be 39, but my body is still producing eggs. So with each cycle, I still have eggs. So as long as I have eggs, my attitude is I'm going to keep giving her, and I'm not going to give up. And, you know, if I didn't have any eggs, then I guess it would be my last hope is going to an egg donor. But where I'm at right now is as long as I'm still producing eggs, I'm going to go for it. I mean, I have nothing left to lose except for money and sanity. I'm so lucky to have my husband, because I know I obviously physically couldn't do this without him, but just emotionally, it's been extremely trying on us both. And I don't think anyone could possibly even fathom or understand what it's like to deal with infertility unless they've actually gone through it themselves. And when I say that, I mean not a couple that's been trying to have a baby for a year and then they get pregnant, or a couple of years and they get pregnant. I'm talking about people out there that have exhausted every natural option of conceiving naturally, and then go through the lengthy protocol of getting on a waiting list at a fertility clinic, and then being tested and finding out, you know, is it you or is it your husband that has something preventing you from becoming pregnant, and then identifying which partner it is, if it's one or both of them, what treatment to do. And in our case, it's me because of my age. I just don't have as many eggs each cycle that they do, or the best quality. Now, keeping in mind, I did take DHEA for the very first time in my cycle, in this cycle. And this cycle, it actually proved that I had more eggs and also better quality. So I am going to go back to that protocol again and go back on the DHEA for a few more months and see what happens next cycle. I did do some research, and I read a few articles from a doctor in Tel Aviv, also a Science Daily article, and the one from the New York Fertility Clinic. And their information that they released is that the DHEA actually does not take its full effect until a woman's been taking it for at least 4 months. Now, I don't know if that had any effect on me. I took it for exactly 3 months and 3 weeks up until the egg retrieval. And part of me wonders if I maybe took it for an extra month, perhaps I would have had even more eggs or better quality than I had. So at this point, you know, I guess the video for me in capturing this is just so that I can look back one day when I do have a baby, and I can show my child or children how much we loved them and how much we wanted them for so long before they came along. And going back to trying to understand, you know, this isn't a video out of pity or, you know, to get empathy from anybody. It's more so just to be able to let other people know that if they're going through it and they're living in the dark about it, that they're not alone, and that they could reach out to me, and that would be confidential. I wouldn't share that with anyone. Or for people that aren't going through it and they don't understand, and maybe aren't as sensitive, unable to understand what it's like and how trying it is for a couple that really want to have a family, what they go through emotionally and financially. For us, it's been a really long process. It's been about 3 years now, and when I say 3 years, it's been about 3 years in dealing with the fertility clinic, because what happens is initially when they find out if it's for example, me that has the issue, then they start tracking your menstrual cycle for about 6 months. So you're literally on hold for 6 months. But it can take up to 6 months to even get in to get your first consultation appointment with the fertility clinic. So from beginning to the end, and when I say end is from the very beginning to your first appointment to when you do your first IVF cycle, you're talking about possibly a year to a year and a half before that happens. So my only advice is, if you're a couple out there that's trying to conceive and you're over the age of 35 and you've been trying for 6 months or more, I would strongly suggest going to your family doctor and asking your family doctor to get your referral to the nearest fertility clinic in your city. When you're younger, if you're trying, it's a little bit different, but when you start to get in your 30s, things do change and slow down. So, I would suggest doing that, even if you don't think you have any fertility problems. And the reason why I say that is because by the time you get in to see your fertility doctor, you may hopefully get pregnant naturally, but if you don't, the waiting list can be 6 months to a year in Canada. So if you wait another 6 months to a year before you decide, well, maybe we should go down that road at the fertility clinic, you could be prolonging and literally losing time. So it's just a suggestion, and if you get to the appointment and you think you don't need it at that point, or you already conceived, then you can at least cancel it, but at least you have your name in the waiting list. Because by the time you actually finally get in to see the doctor, as I was saying, it could take another 6 months to a year before you even get the chance to start IVF. So it's a very lengthy process. It's financially expensive. There is no coverage for it in my province, Alberta. But Quebec is the first province and the only province right now in Canada to cover IVF. And I know the other provinces are watching it to see if it's successful in Quebec in helping couples with the financial costs. And the reasoning behind that is the government feels that there's more of a burden on the healthcare system for couples that go through IVF that pay for it themselves. And the reason being is there ends up being a tendency to have multiple births. And a result of the multiple births, the children most of them end up being premature or some problems with the babies, and they're typically in the hospital much longer, which costs the government more money. The longer you keep a baby in the hospital, the more money for the government. So what they're doing in Quebec is they are paying for it for couples, but what they're also doing is they're only allowing one embryo to be transferred into a woman to prevent any multiple births. So, if you're a couple that's trying, Quebec would be a great place because it just removes the stress of money altogether. And that's one of the primary concerns for couples going through IVF, is if they can afford to going. So, not that we can afford to going, but, we're working hard and saving our money. So, I guess that's all I have to say. And, not sure where I'm going to go from here, but I do know that if it's not a success for us this cycle, we're just going to keep going, and got to stay strong. Got nothing else to do. So life could always be a lot worse, and we don't live in a third world country, and I got somebody that loves me, and I'm really lucky. So just got to be thankful for what I do have. I know there's times where I question everything and I don't understand it, and I get scared. I get really scared. I question, does my husband, does he really want to stay with me and go down this journey? And I go through the self-pity too, where I even question, does my husband want to stay with me? Or maybe he's thinking that he wants to marry somebody else that he can have a family with. So your mind plays a lot of tricks on you going through fertility. And that's just that. That's not even mentioning all the hormones and the drugs you're on to add to it all. So be good to yourselves, for the women out there that are going through IVF, because it's really hard. And for you that are going for it for the first time, you really just got to, my best advice is just, in those moments where you feel like you're going to lose it because of all the hormones in your body, you just got to, honestly, it's almost like going back to being 2 years old. You got to take a time out and tell yourself that it's literally the drugs that are taking over and making you Jekyll and Hyde. And it's going to be okay. It's really going to be okay. So Anyways, I'll say good afternoon and goodbye for now because it's a little bit late, and this is probably one of the longer vlogs I've ever made. So best of luck to all of you. I hope that the next video I watch is somebody telling me they're pregnant, and I'd love to hear success stories, not just sad stories, but success stories. So take care, everyone, and I will probably have a video vlog up this weekend. So all right, take care.